go, guys. We started live before I made it back. Well, that's what happens when you start at like 7 a.m. in the morning and you're reviewing applications. And before you know it, you don't even have time to get a drink or anything. So I thought, hey, 3 minutes should be enough time for me to be ready and to jump on live. But apparently not quite. So you got to listen to a little bit of music and admire my nice backdrop here. My fancy camera is still in the works. So when I work out of my home office, I'm just using my little camera on my iMac, but it works good enough, right? So welcome everybody. It's great to have you here. And people are probably wondering, where is Mark? Well, I'm here. It's great to have you. And this is another Express Entry live Q&A where we answer all questions related to the Express Entry process. Usually tomorrow on Thursdays at noon, we kind of answer any question. But the reality is I'm open to really talking about anything related to immigration. And we're still waiting to see if the minister is actually going to do a round of invitations that specifically targets those occupations. You can easily slide back to our YouTube channel if you're watching it on YouTube and search through the videos, or if you're watching it on one of the other platforms, just slide over to YouTube or search through those platforms that you're watching it on, whether it's LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook, wherever it is. And I did videos on the minister's announcement as to the categories, the STEM, the transport, things like that, the healthcare. And so you can check out that and get my take on where things are going and what the impact is or could be on you. So it's a beautiful June the 14th today. It's my wife's birthday in 2 days. Pretty excited about that. June is a pretty awesome month for us. We had our anniversary on the 10th, and then my wife's birthday is in 2 days, and Father's Day is coming up. So it's a great month for our family. My daughter's graduated. She went through her graduation ceremonies and she's the last one. So it's wonderful. All right. Make sure you post where you're tuning in from, because I love to see all over the world where people are watching these videos. And I'll be honest, I say this a lot and I'll say it again. This is really what I love doing the most. So if I could do live videos and answer questions and help people and feel like I'm really giving back, this is what I really, truly love to do. Now, with that being said, Holthe Immigration Law is the law firm of our firm, and it's where we provide our legal services to our clients. So if you're asking a question that's really specific, like, Mark, should I travel? Or Mark, which immigration stream is the best for me? Those types of questions are really legal advice. And I'd recommend that you slide over to our firm website, and I'll just share my screen so you can see. You can go here, and maybe I'll shrink this down a little bit. There we go. And then when you're here, all you have to do is just click on Speak to a Lawyer, and both Alicia and I have availability. So all you have to do is go here and click on the links, which those of you who are following, many of you have been following for a very long time. So none of this is new news for you. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Let's give some shout outs. Let's see, we've got Taj, who is tuning in from Nigeria. Welcome, Taj. Thanks for joining in. Hi, Canada. I'm joining from Bangalore, India. Great to have you. And on that note, I think we had a super come through from Hi Canada here. So let's see if we can find the. Okay, let's see if I can figure this out here. Give me 1 second. Okay, please see 2 messages for my query. Thank you. 1, Alberta selection in Express Entry. 2, CRS 411. 3, PR holder sibling in Alberta. 4, knock Alberta occupations in high demand. You're going to need to repost those because I don't see. I'm not sure what your question is. I'm not sure. It says 2 messages for my query. And I'm not seeing the other messages. Sometimes if you start to post a comment before I go live, I can't always pull those up. So if you can maybe repost those, then I'll search for those. But yeah, and remember, yeah, I'll need you to break that down and just repost those questions again, and I'll jump back and we'll try to tackle those for you. Hi, Canada. Okay, let's see what else here. We've got lots of questions. Hang tight. Let's see. I'm just looking here to see if there's anything I can pull out. We got lots of questions coming in. So, okay. Diana says, hey, I'm Mike from Calgary, ready to start my EE profile. That is exciting. Now, Diana, did you subscribe to the course? I can't remember if you subscribed to the Express Entry course or not. I think you guys know that the masterclass is going to happen at the end of the month. And if you are interested in subscribing to the course, make sure you do it now so that you have time to go through it. So when the masterclass comes, you'll have all those awesome questions. Okay, let's see. We've got lots of questions here. Okay, here we got a few. Oh, Diana says, congratulations on your wife. You're very, very welcome. And her name is Deanna. All right. Jazz on LinkedIn. Thanks for tuning in from Calgary on LinkedIn. Talia is over in Newmarket, Ontario. Hello, Talia. Great to have you here. Sahil is in Bangalore. Thanks for connecting in at this late hour over there. Great to have you here. Oh, and then we've got Ahmed, who's in Edmonton on Facebook. So we're getting a good representation on all the channels, which is great. Legit 90s from Cambridge, Ontario. Welcome. Great to have you here. And let's see what else we have. Any last shout outs before we slide over? I think this is pretty much... oh, we've got Sharon who's watching from Guyana. Great to have you here. And Diana says, I will. Sounds great. Let's see. Okay. And then we've got Henry who jumped in there at the end from Nigeria. Okay. Let's jump back now. And there really isn't too much announcements to make. You know, we could see if we look at the rounds of invitations, and I'll just shift over here before we get to the questions again. If we look at the rounds of invitations here, we'll see that if we go down here, June 8th, okay, was the last round of invitations. And so it was a no program specified draw. Once again, many people thought maybe it was going to be targeted. So it's unlikely that we'll see anything this week. If there are any changes, probably it will come next week. All right, let's jump back and let's dive in and let's get to what you guys have all been waiting for. Okay, we'll start with Osman here. He says, do you know how long approximately the security check for TRV? Osman, it really depends upon the country. So in some cases, it's like automatic because Canada has really good information sharing with other countries. And in other cases, it can take longer. So it really depends upon the country that you're coming from. And there is no real set processing time for those things. Okay, Human says, is the student GIC under student direct stream allowed as proof of funds for express entry? I read that GICs are accepted for some PNPs. I've never tried to take a GIC and flip it over. I always use actual funds. So I can't speak to the process of converting GICs to liquid cash, but it needs to be readily available, and guaranteed income certificates, depends on how those funds can be used. But I'll be honest, it may be possible, Human, but I always like to see that the funds are actually in a liquid state. So I can say, this is my savings account. These are the funds that I have available. But that's a great question. And like I said, there's people that probably have had success, using GICs. It's a guaranteed income certificate, right? Guaranteed investment certificate. So it's acceptable and real for the purposes of studying. And most of those GICs have kind of a drip out. So the funds are available periodically. So it needs to all be available right when you need it. So I tend to shy away from that. Hopefully that gives you enough of an answer there. All right, let's expand this a little bit bigger here. Okay, let's go to the next question. Okay. Fatima says, hi, I applied Rural Northern PR and open work permit inside Canada. My family is still outside Canada and got their approval. I'm still pending open work permit approval, and my open work permit extension validity is still July 24th. Okay, well, Fatima, you've got a lot going on here. And if you're just wondering about processing times, I don't know when you submitted it. I don't know too much information. I'm not even exactly sure what your question is. But as always, whenever people run into specific things that they, that really relate to the unique circumstances of their situation, I always direct them back to book a consult. And you can do that just by clicking on the link below. It's actually another good opportunity as well, just to remind you guys, and I try to do this as often as possible. we have the Canadian Immigration Podcast, which is fantastic. And I strongly encourage you to subscribe to it on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. And we have a string of, if you're wondering about work permits and how it works and employers, and if you're in Canada and your employer's thinking about maybe supporting you with an LMIA, or you just want to be educated, this whole series, the business immigration series that Alicia and I are doing, is really, really good. So I'd strongly encourage you to check it out. All right. Okay, let's dive back into some more questions here. Biniam says, hey, Mark, the GC key keeps declining payment from the MasterCard starting from yesterday. That is really bizarre. I did a review of the EAPR for a client today, and we paid fees even yesterday for a client, and I didn't have any issues filing the EAPR and making those payments. But I think in both cases it was a Visa. So yeah, that's really garbage. But let's face it, Biniam, the portal has been just a disaster. The employer portal, the GC key, the IRCC secure account. I just don't understand. Like, I thought that things were getting better, and I just don't know what IRCC is doing. You know, what I would really love you guys is to bring this fine fellow right here on and have Minister Fraser share some insight with us on everything that's going on. And, you know, I know that he's trying to do the best he can with the circumstances that he's in, but my goodness, like, if this was a private company who was administering our immigration program, they would be out of business, wouldn't they? And so that's what happens sometimes with government. All right. Thanks for the pop in there, Minister. Okay, let's keep zooming down. Okay. Okay, Human says, can a person who is applying to the Quebec Family Sponsorship Program as a spouse request an open work permit as of Canadian Family Class applicant? I don't know that, actually. I do not practice any Quebec-based immigration, and so I can't actually answer that question, Human. I'm not sure. Okay, Malik says he submitted his PR application when his IELTS were still valid, but now they expired. Will they require me to redo the IELTS or outright reject my application? I haven't heard back from them yet. Band 8. Malik, if your language test scores were valid at the time in which you submitted your EAPR, then they're locked in. Doesn't matter if they expire during the processing of your application. The IELTS scores are locked in, so you should be okay. Okay, let's see what else is next. If Text says, hey, Mark, my job description matches very well with one of the STEM knocks. Okay, thus I changed my knock and work history in the profile. In your last video with Alicia, you said that this will be an issue. Yeah, understand that it all comes down to whether or not your duties actually align with a substantial number of the main duties. And they will always align more with one versus another. So if you're taking the steps of modifying, understand your reference letter, the duties listed in that reference letter that you're using to support that work history needs to be 100% consistent. And the language and terminology that IRCC uses is substantially the same. So do those duties match with a substantial number of the duties listed in the knock? And we usually equate that to about 75%. So if you have another knock that's better, that really more closely matches, but you're trying to fit your occupation into one of the knocks that could potentially be on the targeted list, well, at the end of the day, the duties need to match up with a substantial number of those duties in the knock. And that's really what we were talking about. So when people are trying to fit themselves into other knocks, you have to be careful, because you could say that your knock is 212.33, but the reality is, if an officer goes and looks at your reference letter and sees that the duties don't match up with that and feels it's a better match for a different knock that's not within the targeted industries, well, then your application is going to get rejected. And that's where my concern always has been, FTech. Okay. Here's one from Human. If I transfer money from my home country bank account to my Canadian bank account just after I receive an ITA, must I also show the past bank statements for proof of funds, aka its source? Well, you're always going to want to provide source when there's large sums of money that are being deposited into an account and immigration can't see where that came from. And they want to make sure that, your settlement funds are not a loan, right? They want to make sure that if it's a gift from someone like a family member, which is really the only gifts I really consider, because usually friends don't give money. Friends don't just give someone, $13, $14, $15,000, but family may. And then I always like to, where possible, include gift deeds and things like that to confirm that the transfer is freely given, it's irrevocable, it's not conditional on anything. It's given from, freely for love and affection, which a parent would for a child, right? So those are all factors that I take into consideration. Okay, Taj says, I run a business as an agriculturist full-time and also run another engineering outfit company. My educational background is engineering. What should I claim as my work experience coming to Canada on a study permit? Taj, you need to disclose both of them. Obviously, you're not going to conceal things, because let's say the experience that you have as an agriculturist, let's say you get your study permit approved, but you didn't list it in your study permit application. Then you realize, hey, I could count that towards express entry. And I see this all the time, you guys, all the time. You see it as people want to add in work history that they didn't include in a prior temporary application, whether it was study permit or whether it was a visitor visa. And then they're trying to add it in. And then immigration, they have the ability to go back and look. They say, well, okay, this doesn't make sense. They didn't list this work experience before when they were applying to come study, but now magically it's there. It just comes down to credibility. So yeah, I always answer comprehensively and fully the questions that are asked. And so if you perform both of them, then you're going to include both as work experience. Okay. Vinoth says, I am in CWP, completed 1 year in Canada for PR. My HR said the company will not provide a job offer letter. Instead, they provide an employment confirmation letter. Okay. Well, the reality is when it comes to express entry, job offers have to be, in a certain fashion. If it's an employer-specific work permit, they have to be LMIA based, either if you're actually, basically LMIA based. And if you've completed the 1 year, you're eligible for CEC, the record of employment will provide you with evidence to support your work history. So that'll give you, if you're single, the extra 40 points. But if you're on an employer-specific work permit, so it's closed work permit, and you could potentially, if it was an intercompany transfer, get the extra 50 points. The employer has to provide an offer letter that says that they will employ you for at least 1 year following completion of, basically getting permanent residence. And that's the gap. And I see this all the time with these companies who they really don't want to support you with permanent residence. They want you to stay a worker so they can continue to use you in the way they want, and you don't have the ability to just leave and work for another company. So, I don't act for hardly any of those companies anymore. And that's a situation you're in. You can't use your previous letter for your work permit. You can't use any of that to support the job offer. Strictly speaking, when it comes to meeting the obligations that an employer needs to meet in order for you to be able to claim the extra points for job offers. So yeah, it's tough. And Vinoth, if you want to book a consult, we can chat about that in more detail, but that's kind of where it's set up. Okay, let's jump in here. We need to get to some other ones as well. Okay, Carolinda says, hey Mark, I have a super visa application that has been in progress for almost a year. Anything that I can do to try to get an answer from the officers? Book a consult, Carolinda, so we can look into it. But a super visa application for 1 year, there would be a time where I'd say, this is crazy. Like, how in the world could someone's application be delayed that long? But if you look at visa applications, so let's see here, we're going to go up and we're going to pull up the processing times. And any of you can go and do this. It's easy to go to the website and just pull up the processing times. So when we click on here and we go to processing times and we go to temporary resident visa, we go visa from outside Canada. Actually, let's go here and let's go super visa, parents or grandparents. So here you can see, let's go with Nigeria, okay? Because Nigeria has been one of the awfulest places in the world. Do you see what happens for a super visa here? 757 days. Can you imagine that? It's insane. It's disgraceful. How can immigration even accept that? This is just the absolute, it's embarrassing. And this is where I will fully pull up the minister and I'll say, Minister, what message are you sending to anyone who's looking to come to Canada, from this region? It's basically saying, we don't want you. Right? So I strongly encourage you, Minister, to address this, because 757 days for a visa application from Nigeria is it's just unconscionable. So yeah. So if we go back to the original question and, indicating that the super visa has been in the queue for a year, well, if it's within the normal processing, then there's not much that you can do. if it's way outside of the normal processing or the processing times, then it is possible to consider a mandamus application. And those of you who have gone to our site, I'm just going to pull this up here. Give me a second. Right here, I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Okay, when you go to our website, and you can see here we have a section called legal help at the top. And one of the categories is applying for a writ of mandamus. And when you click on here, it'll talk about the circumstances around when it may be possible to request this. And at this stage, I'll be honest, if things are dragging out the way they are, and you're in a situation, and you can just go to our website, you can click on the link in the description below, and it'll allow you to get here. But Carolinda, I recommend that you book a consult. We can talk about it and see if mandamus is something that's available for you. But boy, if you're coming from Nigeria and it says 700 days processing, like that's insane. Like I still, 757 days, crazy. Okay, let's see what else we have here. I want to get to a few others, and hang in there, you Facebook and LinkedIners. We'll get to you for sure. Applied for work permit from Dubai, 17th November, ADR submitted 18th of May, but after that, no update. It's been 7 months now. Should I raise a web form? What was the ADR? And what were the delays? Have you requested GCMS notes? I would probably do that at that stage to see what the last step or the last action was taken, and then consider where to go from there. These situations with applications that have been submitted, like I guess one of the questions for a work permit, well, what was the ADR? What was the additional document request that you received? Is there more detailed stuff? Because once they request it, and I feel for you, when we file our applications, we take great pride in not getting ADRs for our clients. We just don't get them because they're done right the first time. And so anytime there's a request, the regular processing times is like thrown out the window. And you can see immigration is they're just not doing well at processing applications. Okay. Let's see what's next. I'm trying to get to, okay, here we go. Let's get to this Facebook. This is from Ahmed. I have a question. I obtained a police clearance for my home country 2 days before I leave to Canada. Yes, during my vacation. And I'm working in Canada since then. Would that work if I didn't go back until my EAPR? If you obtained it while you were there, I always treat it as being only valid for 6 months. So Ahmed, if you were there when you got it and you were there for 2 more days, I always teach all of my clients in my express entry course, this one right here, I always teach them that if you have spent 1 day in there since the police clearance was issued, and it's been longer than 6 months, I always tell people to go back and make sure that you request a new one. So I don't take any chances. But here's the thing, Ahmed, if you're submitting your EAPR, so you're ready to submit it, and it's been less than 6 months since that police clearance was issued, then you're okay. But it's been longer than 6 months. Even if you spent 1 day in the country, I always tell my clients to get a new one. I'm going to give you one of these, my friend, right here. Oh, I got to turn up the sound effects. It's a delayed applause. I'm going to give you applause because that's a great question, Ahmed. Great question, which, like I said, I cover in the course. Okay, and obviously we work with our clients. Okay, Hardeep says, applied for PR on November 25th, AOR February 15th. After that, nothing, not even medical requests. What should do? Sit and just wait, Hardeep. Holy crap. Let me tell everybody a story, okay? And the story is in a land right here called Canada, but long ago when little old Mark first started his immigration practice. And I would argue that probably during that time, this fine fellow hadn't even gone through law school yet. So when I started practicing, maybe I can't remember when the minister went through law school, but anyways, in a land right here called Canada, but a long time ago, there was a world where express entry did not exist. And that world was limited to one program called the Federal Skilled Worker Program. And at that time, people who were working in Canada didn't even have a Canadian Experience Class option. That was created later. So in this land, a long time ago, the Federal Skilled Worker Program all throughout the world was very popular, obviously, just like it is now. But they did not have a way to select through a comprehensive ranking system a certain number of people that were going to be prioritized. So it was a first in, first out process. Once again, I teach this in my course. When individuals applied for permanent residence, there wasn't a single person anywhere in the world that did not have their application processed in more than 2 years. No one got it processed less than 2 years. And in fact, countries like India, it was probably up to about 4 or 5 years. China, 6 or 7 years to process the permanent resident application. So, Hardeep, I feel for you because you're probably seeing your friends wondering, why is their applications getting processed and why is mine not? So November the 25th, AOR February 15th. I don't see here any mention of whether it's Canadian Experience class or whether it's FSW. CEC, yes, shows processing times less. 80% of applications are processed, at least theoretically, in under 6 months. And when you look at processing times that are posted for express entry, and let's slide over and let's take a look at it because it's all about sharing, guys. So we slide over here. Let's change this to economic immigration. Let's jump down and we'll go to Canadian Experience class. Then we'll get the processing times. You'll see it's currently sitting at 4 months. If it's outside federal skilled worker right here, processing times are 2 years. Okay. So I don't know where you're at, Hardeep, in your journey, but the reality is the processing times are literally, they are what they are. And if you're CEC, even November, I wouldn't consider a mandamus. I think you're in a position where you just wait. Now you can always request the ATIP GCMS notes and just to see if there's, anything happening on the background. Sometimes it will say review required and it will send it to another officer because there's something in that application, Hardeep, that maybe you didn't do properly or wasn't complete, or there was maybe a potential issue or a problem that they had with your work history or something else. All those things can be, could pop up. And obviously in the course that I offer, that is open to register right now and get access to it. We cover all of those common issues and problems. And I can't tell, Hardeep, from your situation if there's really something they're looking at or whether it's just stuck in an abyss. We know that IRCC has had huge issues with people getting stuck with in the system, getting almost lost, assigned to officer numbers where there's no officer currently working. And then they just get stuck there. And so you do have to monitor that. But, ultimately, Hardeep, if you want to dive into this deeper, you can consider booking a consult with Alicia or I as well. Okay. Okay, let's see. I'm going to finish off Vinoth's here. So Vinoth was talking about, the company intends to provide a long-term employment to employee and will continue to offer full-time employment to him even after his permanent residence has been received as per the project. Will this be considered as a job offer, Vinoth says. For my companies, my employers, my clients, I always like them to use the exact terminology and the exact language that IRCC is looking for. So if we go back to one of my favorite sites, which I've talked about in the past, the Completeness Check website, right here, we'll pull it up. You'll see here, if I go to offer, letter of offer from the employer, you'll see that what they're looking for is very, very clear information. So the letter, right, from the employer, let's close this. We don't need this anymore. Offering the job, printed information, contact, all that kind of stuff. Include the following details: expected start date, commitment that the applicant will be employed on a continuous paid full-time for work that is for at least 1 year after issuance of permanent resident visa. So that's the terminology. Now, when you go back to what you had indicated here, let's go back up to this right here. Okay. So if the offer says the employee will continue to offer full-time employment to him even after his permanent resident status has been received, that may be enough. But what they're specifically looking for, if you remember, is that it will be at least 1 year. So you would expect that what is indicated here would be sufficient, but I personally don't take any chances. So I put the exact language they're looking for, and then I never run into any issues. Okay, let's see here. Who is next? Iftex says, are we expecting any discount on your DIY course? No, nope, not at all. And the reason that there's no discount is because you get 4 hours of time with me. When I do a consult, I charge $300 for 25 minutes. So that's basically $600 for an hour. So because you are subscribing just like all the other people to the course, you will see that in that course, and I talk about this quite a bit, but in the course, you will see that there is a separate section, and I'll scroll right down to the bottom. There is a separate section for every single aspect of the express entry process. And I've talked about this in the past. There's over 10 hours of on-demand content. Plus on top of that, 4 hours, which is what's 600 times 4, $2,400, basically of direct access to me to get any question answered about your application that you have. And nothing gets missed. And we are able to talk about specific stuff right that's directed to your exact situation in ways that we can't always do it here. And so no, the fee that I charge, so if I click on enroll now, you'll see here in US dollars, and it's picking up my GST here in Alberta, but $347 is what I charge for the course, which includes the masterclass. And so I strongly encourage people to subscribe now so that they have, 14, we've got 20, 22, like 12 days to go through and start going through all the individual lessons so that you're ready. And when that masterclass starts, you then have the ability to get all of the questions asked. Usually what I find is people, they're like, oh, okay, it's starting tomorrow, I better register for the course. And that's totally fine, but you don't really have time to get through it. Now, anyone who subscribes has access to all future masterclasses now. So that's a change that I've made. So nope, I don't offer any discounts. Maybe if it was just a simple on demand, I might consider doing that because my time isn't involved. But the thing that makes this express entry course so good is not just the content and the fact I've been developing it and evolving it for 8 years, however long express entry has been around, but that you get direct access to me in a private group. And you can post questions. If you can't appear to the lives, you can post your questions in the group and I answer every single question. And I would hold this up against any person out there who created any similar kind of a guide, right? That are usually so basic, but this is comprehensive, full of everything, including module 6, which I created. It was the last major component that I added. Was mastering your documents, which included all of the individual videos for every single document that you could potentially need, and you pick and choose the ones you need. If you don't need something, you don't have to waste time watching that video. So it's very targeted, very strategic, and it's on demand, so you can choose the videos that you feel like you need to get more information on. And I literally walk you through step by step how to fill out every section of the forms as well, including the EAPR, which required me to get a client's permission to go in and use their EAPR, essentially their base EAPR information after they got an ITA, before we went in and filled in all of the other information. So you can imagine then redacting their name for privacy. Wow. Like it takes a ton of work. That's why nobody's ever done it. But yeah, absolutely love it. So I encourage you, if tech, it's worth every penny. Okay, Ahmad says, is there any hope for 478 targeted draws? I think so. Without target, it's really tough. We've seen when they did those big major draws, like 7,000 a pop, it took it down to 480, but it'll be tough. It'll be tough. Okay. Okay. Here's Hardeep says, on LinkedIn, he says, I have a CRA 3, I think CRS is what he's saying, 380 with accountant profile. What options to increase CRS? Well, always, I'm assuming you're losing points for age, right? So master's degree is a way to increase. Their language, is your language perfect? Have you studied French? French is a major, game changer. Job offers, is there an opportunity with your accounting background to get an LMIA as a bookkeeper for a company? I just had a meeting yesterday with a couple who became permanent residents, and he was able to get an LMIA as a bookkeeper, and then got that experience, and then went through express entry. Okay, and if tech, yeah, we hit that, so no discounts. All right, and hopefully you understand why, if tech. Okay, all right. So this one, like I said, hi Canada. I'm still trying to find your questions. And let's see. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Okay, so I see this one. Recent draws in family connection, occupation and demand category. 20th of April, cutoff 302. May 11th, cutoff 311. Not able to know which knocks were targeted in those draws. ONP sim giving this. Yeah, Alberta doesn't do that. They choose what they feel like they want to choose. You know, they like to spread things around different industries, but this is Alberta, and when they're going through express entry and they're identifying specific areas, they do not list the actual knocks. Now, with that being said, there is on the website, and I'm not going to pull it up now, but there is the actual labor data that they use, short-term and long-term occupational outlooks that for short-term and long-term for shortages in Alberta that they do look at. So it gives some idea as to the knock codes that are in more demand in Alberta. So I'd encourage you to go to the Alberta website and the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program website and check that out. Oh, hey, I also wanted to let you guys know that there's going to be a podcast. Let me just, that I'm going to record. When am I recording this? I'm recording it this afternoon at 3. I'm so excited. So Brady from the Rural Northern Immigration Program in Claresholm is going to be joining me. So just another reason why you need to go over and subscribe to the Canadian Immigration Podcast. I'm going to slide over and show you a couple things here just while we're answering questions. But the Canadian Immigration Podcast, I'm going to be recording an episode with Brady from the Rural Northern Immigration Program in Claresholm. So let's pull it up and I'll show you. So Claresholm Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program, this one right here. So these are one of the only community in Alberta that's participating in the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot. So so you definitely want to check that out. So I'm going to be meeting with Brady right here. Oh, I can't pull him up. I was trying to highlight him. This guy right here. Brady's going to be coming to join me, and we're going to record the podcast. And fantastic! It's going to be awesome. Really, really looking forward to it. So he's going to talk about the program and how it's working, and so make sure that you connect and subscribe to the podcast so that you can tune in and listen to it. And just another service, another opportunity to share with you guys. Okay. And then I think this was covered. So Alberta was selected in EE, 411, PR holding sibling in Alberta, Alberta's occupations in high demand. Okay, yeah. So I don't know. Ultimately, High Canada, that's all that, that's all that I can say is they don't share that information. They don't, other than indicating which occupations, are on the most popular list, which is a bad thing. And then the industry salary survey, which they point to. Okay, let's jump to a few more here. I'll just jump down. Okay, so Ali says, hey, Mark, if you have applied for non-express entry PNP PR application and you change jobs, what should you do if you had applied before leaving the job? Okay, it depends on the province. Often, many provinces, if the new employer that you switch is willing to support you, if it's an employer-specific kind of employer-supported one, then in some cases, provinces will let you move over and have the other employer support you. In some cases, it's just a matter of letting IRC, letting the province know that you've changed a job, but it depends on the province. And yeah, if you need any help, Ali, you can just book a consult. We can walk through that. Okay, we've got a few more supers here that are popping up. So let's see if we can figure this out. Okay, Steph says, a CRS tool question. I wasn't sure about Q4 level of education. I chose 2 more certificate diplomas or degrees because I have 4-year ECA and 2-year diploma. Am I right? Yeah. Like if your educational credential assessment says that you've got a degree that's at least 3 years or more, plus another diploma of 2 years or more, then yes, that would be for the actual the calculator, like the CRS tool. You would indicate 2 or more. That's exactly correct, Steph. That's how it works. All right, let's see who else we have here. Doria says, got a job offer. Do I need a proof of funds, ONPEE Portland? Okay, so this is hard. I can't answer this one, Doria. I need to see exactly what the circumstances are around your job offer. and how it fits into the mix. So whenever an individual is applying through one of the programs, like for example, you're in Canada and you're drawn under the Canadian Experience class, in those circumstances, CEC does not require settlement funds. But under the federal skilled worker program, it really comes down to each of the programs. And ultimately, the OINP, I have to assume, requires the funds. And if you have the funds for the purposes of the OINP, for express entry, usually you'll always have them for express entry. So I'll just provide them just to eliminate any confusion. We do have a blog post on our website, which is another thing I'll encourage you guys to take a look at, that discusses this exact issue, Doria. And I'm just going to see if I can pull it up here. And if you go to our blogs and let's just see if we can just pull it up here. See if it will pull it up. Come on, proof of funds. I know we've got a topic. Whatever. This search feature is not very good. Okay, let's just try funds. I know we'll have something. This search is not very good. I don't like you. Do you know what? It worked fine when we had like 10 blog posts, but the reality is, yes. So if we were to go back, I know that we have one. I wonder if there's a way to share it. If you search through here, you will find that we have a detailed one, because I don't want to take a lot of time going through all of the nuances, because it is very, very nuanced when it comes to the PNPs as to whether or not you need to provide. Oh, looks like I clicked on the wrong one. Older posts is what I want here. I'm just going to see if I can find. You guys can see how many different blog posts we've done. Okay, here we go. Can I claim service points for Java? Oh no, that's not it. Let's see. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, not this one. We're just going to check once again for settlement funds. And it's not that long ago that we did it, but yeah. Okay, proof of funds, here it is. Yay. So this is the one you're going to search for, okay? So proof of funds in the provincial nominee program under express entry. So I encourage you, do you need proof of funds for provincial nominee program? So I'd encourage you to come to our website and read this blog post, and yeah, and that'll give you some more information, okay? Wow, there's so much content on our website. You guys need to go check that out if you have not yet. Okay, we've got another super from Flying here. Okay, flying to Canada, good to see you again. I and my spouse are respectively primary and secondary applicants in express entry profile. Is it okay to create a separate profile for my spouse? Yes, 100%. And in the world of targeted draws, if that's what they're focusing on, then every single couple where both spouses have a decent, human capital CRS score, always I will include 2 separate profiles, because you just don't know where the minister's going to go, right? Yeah, and you're going to include each other's accompanying dependents. Good question. All right, got another one that slid in here, Flying. Skilled worker knock 21231 is not being selected lately from Ontario Alberta Sim. Yep, it's not. But so you can mix it up. You can absolutely include both. There's no harm in doing that at all. Okay, let's see who is next here. Got so many questions. I'm trying not to miss anything. Okay, Mindset says, what are the programs we can offer for our Saudi customers? Well, the reality, Mindset, is that each person is individual, and it's not like, okay, they're Saudi, so therefore there are certain programs for them. No, immigration is quite restricted. One of the things that we always look at is human capital and the options for just investing. The startup visa program is just really ugly. It's really hard. There's so much uncertainty with that, especially when people are having to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars and go through all of that process. It's really, really, it's really volatile is the best way to describe it. But it depends on their backgrounds, right? Mindset. As an immigration consultant, your job is to assess each individual on their own merits. And then from there, the possibilities open up. So that's why I do the immigration consultations that I do. Is because I need to be able to understand the person's background in detail to then understand what potential options might be available. All right. Okay, Elise says, hey, Mark, do I need to notify IRCC every time I do a short-term travel? Currently, IRCC is reviewing my documents. No, you don't need to update travel history if you've already submitted your EAPR. They can always ask you to provide that updated information, and that's fine, but you don't have to proactively do it. Okay, Africa Oracle says, what's the chance of a geologist in the category-based draw? Science, technology, engineering, math? Maybe. Okay, LinkedIn said, I did not fulfill my RO due to COVID-19. What can I do? Fulfill my, I don't know what RO is. Yeah, I don't know what RO is. Maybe you can repost that one. Okay, or if you guys are smarter than me, you can tell me what RO is. I'm trying to think. I did not fulfill my due to COVID. What can I do? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys know what that is. Okay, let's see. Effie says, hey, Mark, just want to thank you for your live sessions. I and my spouse landed in Canada as permanent resident 2 months ago, and it's been amazing so far. Kudos. Thank you so much, Effie. I love that. That just, oh, okay. We know what's coming now. Absolutely. Fantastic. It is so awesome. So awesome. Congratulations. Oh, I love that. Just fantastic. Okay. Okay. So Karen, this is a good example. So CRS 467 dentist, CRS will be 479. Got notification of interest from ONP. Should I accept the NOI, apply, or wait for category-based draws? Karen, in every single situation, you accept it. Now, ultimately, if you have other issues or concerns or problems with the ONP, then I highly recommend that you do slide over to our firm and book a consult. Like, really do. When you're at this stage, you absolutely don't want to leave anything to chance. And so slide over and book a consult and we can chat. But ultimately, if you have a bird in your hand, okay, which is the ONP, you're not going to let that go to go grab two in a bush over here. That's kind of our little saying that we have here. A bird in the hand is better than two birds in the bush. And so 2 birds in the bush might be faster processing or something, right? Through the category-based draws, but you just know. Ultimately, if something happens and you're drawn, you're able to get a category-based draw, and you've got an OINP application working down the process, working down the queue. Well, in that circumstance, then you can choose to abandon the OINP if that's the case. But whatever you do, if you have that NOI, accept it. And if you have questions, just book a consult. We do this. We help people all the time. Okay, and just to clarify as well, the way that we do the work that we do in the firm is just different. And there's lots of new people here that are tuning in lately, and I just assume that people understand how our firm works, Holthe Immigration Law. But if you go to About Us and you look at our approach, we don't use anyone in between you and us. Definitely subscribe to our newsletter, but it's direct lawyer to client collaboration. So because of the way we teach and educate, and because you guys are DIYers, we don't like take control of your application. We do comprehensive evaluations with you together through a Zoom screen share. We go through every single part of your application. We review all your documents. We even help you upload and submit the application, but you control it. It's in your account. We do not get access to your password. We work very collaboratively, and it's a method that I will just never go back to the old school way of clients filling out questionnaires, and then after the questionnaire is filled out, they don't even see what happens in their applications. Now, any lawyer who's submitting an application without letting the client see what's being submitted, I would basically say that they're negligent and they should not be doing that. It's horrible practice. I see it happen a lot with immigration consultants who don't want people to see what they're actually submitting. And that's completely wrong too. And I think the code of professional conduct for both the lawyers and consultants would absolutely go against that. But don't ever use a representative unless they're going to let you see exactly what you're submitting. But for us, we do it together. It's completely collaborative, and I absolutely love it. And so, yeah, anyways. All right, let's keep zipping through here. Okay, Andrew says, my friend applied for PR FSW 3 months ago. Her husband is a high-ranking military officer of their home country who couldn't undergo the exam, and he wasn't allowed to accompany his wife to Canada. Okay. My My friend explained the situation in a letter, submitted a notarized declaration from her husband and a certificate of his military position to IRCC. Today, she received a letter from IRCC requesting her husband's medical exam results. Question is, what should she do? Book a consult, Andrew. This is something that is very, very volatile. Absolutely, you have your friend come over to our site and book a consult. That's the only advice that I can give. Ring the bell, book a consult. That's what they need to do. This can absolutely result in the application getting rejected, hands down. Okay. Okay. Is there any limit for gift deed as the express entry proof of funds? No, as long as the parent is providing that gift deed and there's clear evidence to show and there's a gift deed included. No, there's no limit. Now remember, I always teach in my course and with our own clients that family gives money, friends loan money. And that's my basic rule of thumb. Okay. Okay. Kanjan says, hey, Mark, do you think whether the targeted draw will have a different cutoff scores for different categories? Yeah. Well, ultimately, when the round of invitation happens, I don't think it's going to be stratified such that an individual who is in one knock code is categorized with a different CRS and drawn based on a different CRS than someone in another occupation. I think when he does a targeted draw, the minister, I think it's going to have they're going to pull everybody in and the cutoff is just going to be based on what they, all the people that are eligible. Given that anytime they make a change with the system, with express entry, there's disasters, right? And so for them to try to do it in such a way that they target specific industries, well, think of this way, healthcare. This is one of the challenges, okay? If you have a doctor and then that doctor is competing against a personal care attendant, okay, a PCA, who is like one of the lower levels of healthcare, obviously the doctor's going to have higher human capital. So if there was a round of invitations, it's possible only the doctors could be drawn. So we're really going to have to see how this plays out. And, obviously anything can happen, but I think right now, the way that express entry has been engineered, it's going to be really tough for them to have that level of stratification. Okay, I saw another super pop in. Let's see who is next. Okay. Okay, Steph says, my employer sent me a non-detailed LOE for express entry. My contracts will work as proof of experience. Can I translate it myself? Because a certified translation is expensive. No, you're not going to translate it yourself. Even when it comes to the contracts, remember those contracts are forward looking. So they're not even confirming exactly what you did. That's why I'm always reluctant to rely on a job offer or a contract, because it's something that you enter into at the beginning. So it's confirming what they expect you may do for the company, but your role could have changed considerably. And that's why reference letters are so important. In the course, I have a document that's called what to do if, what is it called? Boy, I can't even remember half of the time. I've got so many things going on, you guys, that it's hard to keep track. Podcasts and live streams and courses and master classes. Let me just log in and this is exactly what it'll look like when you subscribe to the course. So you can see I've got all these other courses here. Okay. And you can go to the Canadian Immigration Institute and you can see them all. So if I go in here and I go to mastering my documents, I think it's 43, records of employment. Let's see here. Yes, I have what if I can't get a reference letter? That's what the PDF is. So in here, I have a list of a whole bunch of things that you could potentially use to fill in any gaps in the actual, the reference letter that the employer was providing. So non-detailed, I'm assuming it probably doesn't have job duties, right? Probably doesn't have hours worked per week and probably doesn't even have wage maybe. So I see those all the time, especially with higher up IT companies. So, and software companies and institutional clients, they tend to be very rigid. So you have to find other ways to fill in all the gaps that are expected to be seen in that record of employment. So yeah, I recommend you subscribe to the course. You can take a look at some of the options, but yes, you can use, a contract, but I wouldn't just rely on that. I would try to get as much information as I possibly can. And this is one area where I don't take any chances. All right. Great question, Steph. All right, guys, we are just about at the tail end here. I'm just going to flip through, and I want to make sure that there's any Facebookers. And let's see. I'm gonna pull up Heather's question here. I'm an international student graduate, and I don't have experience in my home country. Can I still apply for the New Brunswick PNP now? And do I need an employer to apply? Every program is different, Heather. This is, once again, your personal background, your experience, your education, all those things play a role. And so when it comes to streams and programs and things like that, there may very well be a possibility through the New Brunswick PNP. However, it really comes down to whether or not, really your background, essentially. And so I recommend that you book a consult. All right, let's see what's next here. And as far as designated employers, remember the Atlantic Immigration Program is within there. And so to participate in that program, a designated employer, yes, you would. You would need one. Mm-hmm. But you're in a good spot. New Brunswick is good. Okay, let's see. Doria says, sister refuses to provide her docs, was afraid of misrep, add her on EE app, received an OINP, decline it, cutoff was 429, didn't meet it without the 15 points. Doria, book a consult. I'll need more information. I'm not going to be able to really decipher this I'm not going to be able to decipher it. Okay. Remember, Alicia's going to join me tomorrow, you guys too. So, all right. And I have a firm meeting, our strategy meeting our weekly strategy meeting that's coming up right now. I need to slide over here. Oh, and Casanova says, bonsoir, Mark. Bonsoir to you as well. From Central Africa. Very cool. Thank you for joining in. Tori, I know you're answering it. Got a job or do I need? Okay, so we've got that. Mark. Okay, this one, and looks like my team is already starting the meeting. Okay, Fatih says, good afternoon, Mark. How are you? I have a quick question. After gaining 1 year of qualifying Canadian experience, can I use other jobs to get some additional points, even they are unqualifying jobs? Okay, well, understand that they have to be skilled, so tier 3 or higher. They can be in different NOCs. That's okay. Once you've got the 1 year of qualifying Canadian experience under the CEC, then you can use other work experience in different NOCs as long as it's skilled. If it's low skill, if it's like tier 4 or 5, below tier 3, then it's not getting you any points. So it doesn't really help anything. Okay. All right. Okay, Casanova, this is not correct. So please do not accept what Casanova is saying here. No, just provide IRCC with your job offer information and you're good to go. No. Do not do that. That may work for some people, but I've seen enough people get their applications rejected because they didn't follow the things exactly. So don't do that. And this is the problem, because some people may have had success doing something that was really not a guaranteed option and they got lucky. So many other people do that and don't. So, okay, let's see what else we have here. I'm just trying to hit the LinkedIn and Facebookers because the YouTubers kind of dominate the world, and I want to make sure anyone who's posting. Yeah, okay. All right. We're gonna, Kumi says, mark the success of your lovely clients. Yes, that's awesome. And Human, thank you so much. Your Q&As are really valuable. I'm really glad. Make sure you guys that you go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to it. If you have not yet, please do. We are on the verge of a very huge milestone. And I'm going to slide over here to our YouTube channel as I wrap up. So this is our live today, but you will see here that in our, let's go here, my channel, here we go. You can see that we are sitting at, where is it? let me expand this a little bit here. Okay. I can't even see. How many subscribers do we have? Oh, here, sorry, it's right here. 49,000. All right. We are so close, you guys. We are so close to hitting 50,000. So I would love nothing more if you guys subscribe to the channel and and just obviously when I go live, you'll be able to get noticed. So do check that out. Okay. Once again, last few little tips. You can see here, this is the course, the Express Entry step-by-step course and masterclass. The course is available right now to start going through it, learning, getting educated, getting the instructions on how to file your profile all the way through it to after you get your ITA, all the documents. And the masterclass starts at the end of the month, June 26th through the 29th. Check that out. Remember that in our program, our Canadian Immigration Institute master's programs, we have other courses. There's Express Entry. There's the Postgrad 18-month extension course. There's study permit courses, spousal sponsorship courses, and we even have an LMIA course for high wage, which is actually really, really good. Lots of people don't fully appreciate. The only difference is that I go off of the forms in here, and the government has switched to online now, but the core components of this is still every bit as valuable as before. So check out all those offerings, but absolutely the Express Entry, subscribe. All right, guys, thanks for joining me today. Remember, tomorrow, Alicia's going to be back with me, and we will be doing another live with her. And let's see if we go to videos and home. Let's see if we have it right here, this one. So make sure that you click on here to notify me, and then you can join Alicia and I tomorrow at noon. All right, there we have it. Thanks, guys, for joining today. Hopefully this was helpful, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.